Welcome everyone once again to Building Stuff with Nova. I'm your host, Dr. Nehemiah Mabry, but you can call me Dr. Nee. And in case you haven't been here before, this is the show that we like to refer to as your virtual makerspace, your ideation laboratory, your mastermind, the place where all of us, you and I and you, and everyone in chat, whether you're on Twitch or today, if you're on YouTube, can build together. And we're going to have another great conversation, another topic that I think is really, really great as we interactively bring another guest on. But first, I need to know how you're doing. I'm going to look in the chat right now. Of course, if you're on Twitch, you see our friend Nova welcoming everybody as we typically do, because after all, this is Building Stuff with Nova. I see the folks over on YouTube. Hello from Cali. Shout out to Karina in the chat. We get to see you. Let me know how you're doing, Karina. Let me know how you're doing if you are on Twitch as well. Just drop a thumbs up if you're feeling good. Maybe it's an emote or an emoji if you're on YouTube. Let us know how you're feeling, because I want to know if you are excited as I am for today's show. Now, we're not going to waste a whole lot of time because we got a new game. I got a brand new game for y'all. As a matter of fact, I literally just finished downloading it and it's ready for me to hit play. So this is going to be an unboxing, if you will, of a game that's not brand new, but it's new for me. I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably new for a lot of you all. But let's go ahead and bring up our agenda as you all are letting me know how you're doing. Shout out to Steven Shepard. Hello. Where you joining us from, Steven? Dr. Smart Euro over on Twitch. Good to see you. So cool. A virtual makerspace. That's what we do. As a matter of fact, shout out UC Davis and Fitz. Yes. We see our guest community coming on. If you all missed yesterday, you need to go back and check the VOD. We were making what were we making? A trebuchet. We got some test launches in there. So go back and look at the VOD. Trebuchet, you know, the ancient medieval weapon. We tried to launch in my backyard a rock. Fortunately, it wasn't as successful, or else I would have been getting a note from the neighborhood association. But it was a fun time. We had a great time. So go check that out. Steven, you joined us from the West Coast as well. LA in the building. Awesome. So check out this agenda, y'all. Check out the agenda we have for today. I'm going to be introducing to you just a little bit Samantha Blackmon. She is not your mama's gamer. I'm going to tell you in a little bit all about her, and then we're going to get straight into this game. You all may have heard of this superhero that goes by the name of, I think, Spider-Man. Have you all heard of Spider-Man? Yes, of course you have. Spider-Man, but not your normal Spider-Man, not your mama's Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Yes, that's what we're going to be playing here in just a little bit. Shout out to Sony and the PlayStation team for supporting us on this. But that being said, I'm going to wrap things up, of course, with what's to come. Let me go ahead and share with you all just a quick bio of our guest. I'm not going to hold you too long, but today's guest is Dr. Samantha Blackmon. Yes, she is an associate professor of rhetoric and composition. Her research focuses on games as cultural critique and intersections of race, gender, and technology in and around the gaming industry. She is the co-founder and host of the award-winning feminist game study blog and podcast, Not Your Mama's Gamer. Now y'all see where I got that from, right? Co-curator of Black Games Archive, a 5-time winner of Microsoft's MVP Award, and winner of the SIGDoc Rigo Lifetime Achievement Award for her contribution to the field of communication design in game design. Listen, I don't know about you all, but that sounds like a well-decorated guest. So y'all need to do me a favor. If you're on Twitch right now, drop some love. If you're on YouTube, as we present to some and introduce to others, our guest for today, Dr. Blackmon. Dr. Blackmon, how are you today?
I am doing well. How are you?
We're
a little off center, but that's okay. We can roll with it.
Yeah. We're gonna make sure. I'm gonna go ahead and hide myself real quick. But how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you? I'm excited. Miles Morales is probably my favorite Spider-Man game, and I am excited to see you play it.
You're excited to see me play it?
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if I'm excited to see me play it, if I'm honest with you. Because I'm not your typical gamer, if you will. And I'm going to bring you back on the screen because they don't see you anymore. But I'm not your typical gamer. I am a perpetual noob, if you will, Dr. Blackmon. Samantha, I am someone whose chat, particularly the building committee on Twitch, knows that we've played so many games. Like, I'm always, I don't know if I've exited like the actual like noob stage of the gaming experience. But you know what? It's all about learning together. That's what we're doing, DuckTales. That's right. I am playing DuckTales over on Twitch. Shout out to you. But why is it your favorite? I'm gonna go ahead and get it fired up here. But why is it your favorite?
Okay, so why is this my favorite Spider-Man game?
Yes.
Because
Why
Miles
is this your favorite?
Morales. I love Miles as a character. Um, I love Miles as a character. He's personable. He's kind of very much just your average teenager who has fallen into this situation. Um, and I don't know. I don't want to scoop myself. We got stuff to talk about.
We
But
do
he's
got stuff to talk about, but
just-
we're gonna get going right now. And everyone, let's make sure you all can see. Can you all see and hear? Shout out to everybody again. If you're on Twitch, we're on live on Twitch and YouTube. That Opal guy, our friend, Marianne, we love you too over at Nova. Napa Wine Country. Can y'all let me know in the chat if y'all can hear this as we play this opening sequence here? Can you all hear everything well? Samantha, can you hear it? Or is our audio kind of low?
game audio.
Yeah, the game
No.
audio. Oh man,
No,
we
no,
got
no
the game
audio.
Okay, don't worry. We'll go ahead and we'll talk. We'll continue to talk because they need to hear us. As a matter of fact, we can get. What
Okay.
about now?
Now I can hear it.
Oh, you hear it now? Okay, you hear me without the game herself. You can hear now the game. We're gonna do a recap here in a second. And listen, you can tell me your reasoning at any point, but we know that you are a person, as we already talked about. That's I don't know if the audios are good.
The game audio might be a little loud.
The game audio a little loud. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get to the actual. Yes, we want to watch a recap. Do you want
Hey, Razzle Dazzle.
Yes, we're gonna do subtitles. How do you pause
Yes.
this though? Doc? Let's watch this and I'll try to work with the volume and then I'll come back to my question. How about that?
That's it.
They were all on the loose.
Welcome, Juanita, Nico, and Marianne. And
Yeah, we see your people. We see your people in the chat.
251, if it's not already live, will be live later today. So we got episodes.
That's your episode. What's the name of your podcast so everybody can know?
It is the Not Your Mama's Gamer podcast. And you can find it like anywhere you download your podcast from. And we do have 251 episodes. Actually, it's 252 because we had one episode that was like our 10th anniversary episode that got split into 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But we just called it part 1 and part 2.
Got you. You can find, yes, thank you. Shout out to Nova Building Stuff, dropping that link. Razzle Dazzle has hung out with us again before. Hey, I want to make sure, because there is a way to turn down the volume, and I'm going to be probably getting like some basic advice from you too. But is there Friendly? Would you recommend Friendly? Is that what you recommend?
Yeah, definitely. Well, go to Friendly Neighborhood. Go do Friendly Neighborhood. I think that's
Friendly
the
Neighborhood?
like the story mode. Yeah, I would say go that way. Because you know what, a lot of times, especially with these kinds of games that have lots of fighting, lots of action, and when I'm streaming or playing live while I'm talking, like doing like live let's plays at conferences or what have you, I
Yeah.
play on the easiest mode possible because my attention is split between multiple places.
Okay. Yes, my attention is split too, but we're gonna do the most easiest possible. Y'all heard it. I got permission from Dr. Blackmon to go Friendly Neighborhood here. So we're gonna go Friendly Neighborhood. I can go back. I think I just did Friendly though. Is there a way to go back?
Should be in the settings.
Oh, here we go. Friendly Neighborhood. I
Found
see.
it.
Boom.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna start with Friendly Neighborhood. Chat, let me know if you all can hear this very well. Is the audio good for you, Dr. Blackmon? Because I'm gonna start playing it. I play at this level if we're good. Is it still
It
too loud?
is. It's good.
Okay.
No, it's fine. Y'all let me know if I think my mic gain is good. Let me know if my voice is good compared to Nehemiah's and the game's audio. Audio's great there. Awesome.
Yeah, audio's good. So Dr. Blackmon, let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Yeah, so we got subtitles in. Herself asked, are we supposed to hear voices in game? There have been no voices so far. But I'm curious to know, like, when you first came across Miles Morales as a protagonist of this game, right, as someone who really, it kind of leans in to the intersection of all these things, what was sort of like your first thought when you saw this sort of whole multiverse version of Spider-Man come out?
So when I first turned the game on, it's like it came into this scene, right? And there were two things that I thought, like, automatically. I was like, wow, that's a tight fade.
That's a tight fade. I love it. The haircut
And
is nice.
two, it is, right? I mean, black hair in video games is really important. And folks that are in my community know how I am about hair in video games.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing was like, the urban puffy coat, which is a joke that goes like way back in my community when we used to play PUBG, like way back in beta, like every week we would play PUBG. But there was one coat that was, and I was like, yes, there was one coat in the game that was the urban puffy coat. And I had to always have the urban puffy coat because I was convinced that we were not going to win if I didn't have the urban puffy coat. And there was a joke, right? Because why is it urban, right? To talk about things like, how things even in games get named. But so, and this is interesting, right? Because we were talking about hearing voices.
Think you're gonna add that new Spider-Man too?
Okay, now the voices are coming in.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is the first time we hear Miles speak in Miles Morales, he's speaking Spanish, right? Because he is he's half black, half Puerto Rican, right? So if we talk about like the inclusion and the fact that we have our superhero, our black superhero, or our Afro Latinx superhero who is like speaking Spanish as the first thing we hear is incredible, right?
That's big, and I want to ask you a question on that too. But first, let me see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can get the resolution just a little down because I see it's glitching a little bit. Shout out to everybody again, the Opal guy. Now, I want you all to know something as I switch really quickly here to a different layout. I want to share that for the people who are watching, we have a survey that we've been dropping in the chat. You see it from a bot over on Twitch. This survey, y'all, is for you all to let us know how have you been pretty much engaging with this whole idea of informal STEM learning, informal engineering that we've been doing on this channel. So we need you all to take a moment, if you can, whether now or later, to please fill out that survey. I think it will be an awesome feedback for us. This has been supported by the National Science Foundation. So we need you all to take the time to fill that out for us. And I am about to, in a second, bring us back up on here because I had a question about when you talk about like the representation and the fact that, you got the language that comes out, Dr. Blackmon, you got obviously the fashion and everything. I mean, what we're talking about right now is writing, right? Like it's not even, it's not even the tech part of it. It's just the storytelling aspect of it all.
Yeah, 100%, right? So there are all of these things that are are narrative clues, that are visual cues, that are auditory cues that signal to us that we have a different Spider-Man. We got a different Spider-Man here, right? So I mean, from like I said, the fact that we hear Miles speak Spanish first and foremost, right? We see him walking through Spanish Harlem, right? We see the murals that are on the buildings around him. We have a very New York feel, right?
Yes.
Right. We are. There's no question. But then we also have other things that we'll see kind of as we go on, especially as we like make our way into his apartment where he lives with his mom, right?
Okay.
There are all of these really interesting things that situate us in a very particular place. And even from the very moment the game comes on and we're in that initial kind of splash screen, the music, right?
Yes.
That is not our classic Spider-Man music,
It is.
but it is trying to set a very particular it's trying to set a very particular feel, right? We have that kind of jazzy we have that kind of jazzy beat going kind of on top of all of the things that are Miles, right? He's standing on the subway in his puffy coat.
Puppy coat with the suit on, right? With the actual mask on. And you know, I'm trying to get my bearings right. But the fact that he's wearing the coat on top of the suit, like that's such a different way than like I guess your Peter Parker would kind of go about it, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, if we look just at the outfit that he's wearing here, right? He's got his suit on, right? But he's got his coat and his coat on, but he's also wearing a nondescript version of Jordans,
Yeah.
basketball shorts and compression tights. He
Like he's about to
is
hoop, like he about to go play some basketball.
exactly 100%. He is the quintessential black teen at this point,
Gotcha.
right?
And you teach this, right? So this stuff she's talking, by the way, y'all, you all gotta get into this. Like you teach this type of work from a scholarly perspective. So when you're like talking to your class or anybody that's like thinking about designing the game, how do you encourage people to kind of like take these things into consideration when they're designing their game? What if they're not from the community?
So, I mean, one of the things that we do is we read other people's work, right? So we read other people's work that also kind of reinforce, because I always tell them, to they could take what I say with a grain of salt. That's a nice way of saying what I say. But I also tell them, that this is scholarship that exists elsewhere, right? That comes from game designers, other kind of games studies academics. And then we look at different games and look at how these things get presented in games, and we talk about what effect that has on our reception of the game, right? How does this make us feel? What does this tell us about the character? What does it do in terms of immersion, right? And talk about the importance of that, and I try to look at it from a number of different perspectives, right? So yes, 100%, we would look at something like Miles Morales, but we would also look at something like I don't know, Never Alone, and we would look at something like Raji, right? So we look at games that specifically look at it from different cultural perspectives as well. So we look at a range of representation rather than one specific one, because it is often easy for students, not my students usually, because they're there for a reason, but to be dismissive and say, well, she's just interested in that because the character's black and she's black.
Right.
But if we look at it kind of across the board and look at it from a number of different perspectives, and we look at it from also like the perspectives of folks of different genders, different sexualities, different gender identities, just kind of so we get an understanding of how this works kind of across the board. And I think that gives them the opportunity to see the import in that kind of thing as well.
Right. And I'm gonna try to get this this resolution a little better. But I see that Opal guy made a comment over on YouTube. That's a really good point. I do like that people are using games to help teach people that the world isn't just what they see in their own space. So there's an educational aspect that I guess even the game designer should not only go about in terms of designing the game, but also see themselves. They're an educator in some sense, right? Because the people that are going to play that are also going to be educated by what they put forth in the game.
100%. I mean, not only so that's a great comment, Opal guy, but also just in terms of thinking about it in that way, also thinking about the importance of accuracy and authenticity and representation, right? I remember quite specifically when Miles Morales came out, because you can't have a design team that can be all things to all people, right? It is amazing and great if you have folks who are from the background of the character that you're creating. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but when we have games that or studios that reach out to folks who are of that community, of that background, to serve as consultants, that is super useful, right? Because I remember specifically when Miles Morales came out, that the studio actually hired a consultant who knew the dialect of Puerto Ricans in Spanish Harlem to make sure they had accurate linguistic representation in Spider-Man Miles Morales. That kind of thing, that attention to detail really kind of aids in world building, right? And that's the way I get my design students to kind of better understand it when we talk about things like world building, right? Because they're interested in that kind of thing, because they want to build these worlds where people are immersed and they are really interested, and they're going to be sticky enough to make people stay in that world and engage with it.
That's exactly what I think when I again, storytelling. Like, so as an engineer, someone who also produces media, I think about storytelling and the fact that you definitely want to make the character sticky. And I watched the, you know what I'm saying? I watched the movie, Miles Morales movie. I was a huge Spider-Man fan growing up, even before I knew about this, version of Spider-Man. And when I watched the movie, I was like even more drawn to the story, because again, the character was so sticky, the world was so like relatable, even much more than the Peter Parker world that I had already loved. And it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, you don't know what you're missing out of, or you don't know until you find out, or until someone shows it to you. And I think that's another thing too, particularly for, and even maybe you could talk about it from a female's perspective, but like when you're used to seeing stories presented in a certain way, right? Certain wardrobe or certain scenarios, it's like whenever someone takes the time to kind of diversify it a bit, it's sort of refreshing, right? Like, did you have a sort of experience like that as a gamer in your whole experience? From a feminist standpoint?
I mean, 100%, right? We see this from kind of all angles, right? I think one of the things that's super important when we're talking about representation of different kinds of folks is having a breadth of representation, right? Yeah. Realizing that folks are not a monolith. Black folks are not a monolith. Women are not a monolith. Queer folks are not a monolith. And having space in there to explore like the different identities that can exist within a specific discourse, community, cultural group, racial group, ethnic group, religious group, etc. Right? One of the things that I always because we talk about it all the time in my community, which is interesting, and why what you do is so interesting to me, Nehemiah, because I do the same thing with video games in my stream community, right? Is we talk about these, I have a I don't know, I'm a nerd, and I'm fine with that, right? But we talk about this kind of thing like when I'm streaming, right? It becomes these moments. It becomes these moments. But and I enjoy doing that because it gives me the opportunity to nerd out and to talk to people about what I see and what they see and get a better understanding of where people are. But being able to, going back to what I was originally saying, because I will bing all over the place.
Oh, listen, this is what this is all about. Bing away.
But being able to represent self, right, in a very specific way is very important. Because oftentimes when we talk about the way female characters get represented in games, they're very feminine, and they, are often over-sexualized, right? We have to be perfectly honest about this, right? I am not, shall we say, the most feminine woman in the world, and I don't like to play as a character who is forced to be feminine, who is overly feminized or overly sexualized. So if you give me the ability to customize my character, I need to be able to give my character shorter hair. I need to be able to make my character fuller figured. I need to be able to make sure that my character is not wearing a short skirt, right? because that will immediately kind of put me off if that character is supposed to be me, right? If I'm playing as another character, a character that is not me,
right,
then that's fine. But if I'm supposed to be playing as myself and you expect me to have any level of immersion, I need to be able to make a character that is something like me.
Absolutely, absolutely. You all feel free to drop a question for Dr. Blackmon. So what I'm doing is what every superpower, I guess every superhero typically does when they first get their powers. Try to figure out how to make this thing work. Because I'm using these controls right now on my keyboard. I don't have an actual controller right now, Samantha. So I'm trying to make this thing work.
Oh, good luck.
So that's why my swinging is kind of weird. But to the game real quick. What is this first stage of the game? Since you know this story a little bit, what is my objective at this stage of the game?
So right now, what you're doing is you're just kind of swinging around, right? You are, you can see the city itself, and you are learning right along with Miles. Because Miles is still newly Spider-Man at this point,
so
right?
We were learning together.
Yeah, so you learn it together, and that's exactly what the whole first stage of this game is like. It's like it is definitely tutorial, but it is also kind of narrative based, and. So you'll be running around. You'll get to. We haven't run into Peter yet.
So Peter's in this game.
But yeah, he is at the very beginning. So if you have a yellow marker on your screen somewhere, if you go to that yellow marker, there you go. If you go to that yellow marker, we'll find Peter, I do believe. So you're learning how to do stuff. You're learning kind of. Yep. You're learning how to navigate this space.
Yes. All right, so we're gonna find Peter Parker in this game.
You will find Peter Parker in this game.
Got you. And the yellow here is kind of letting me know.
That yellow triangle is your quest marker.
Okay, good. Good luck. So actually, real quick, when it comes to other representation, you mentioned, well, I don't know if you mentioned this today, but one of the other areas of representation is ableism, right? People of different abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the game, you were obviously we wanted to do the subtitles, but talk about a little bit about that, when it comes to gaming and everything.
I think that games have come a long way in terms of things like accessibility options, right? In terms of thinking about things we could think about things like subtitles. We could think about things like, we talked about the fact that there was a yellow marker, right? The fact that is yellow. And we think about things like color blindness and having colorblind friendly options, and then recognizing that there are different kinds of color blindness as well, because when you look at current contemporary color blindness options in settings, they'll offer you several different options depending on what kind of color blindness you have. Other things that are really important are things like if we have quick time events, being able to switch from rapidly pushing a button to holding down a button. So if you have issues with digital dexterity or repetitive stress injuries from years of gaming like myself, that you can have access to things that make games easier to play. So there are all of these interesting options that are built into the game themselves. And then in a game like Spider-Man Miles Morales, we actually start to see representation of different of folks with other kinds of disabilities, right? There's a character, I'm not going to give spoilers, but there's a character in the game who is deaf, and who communicates through sign language, and that's when we learn that Miles knows sign language, right? Because Miles is able to communicate with this character, because Miles is taking a class in sign language. I mean, he's not perfect, right? So it's not like Miles Morales is this omniscient character who knows how to communicate with everybody, right? But he's very human, right? But it does still have its limitations. And I remember when the game first came out, there was a journalist who pointed out the fact that it would have been nice if because Miles was kind of awkward with his sign. It's kind of awkward with his sign language, his signing. So it would have been nice if perhaps he had raised his mask a little bit so that she would have also been able to read his lips, or there was some way to indicate that she could also read his lips, because lip reading is another form of communicating right away that folks who have hearing loss can
down in some rocket fuel.
can understand other folks, and this is when we see
Miles. The next part of the story.
Drinking.
Very, very carefully. Okay, go time.
Helix 2 en route with heavy payload.
Copy, Helix 2. We've got you on scope.
This is a big operation.
It's gotta be. Hundreds of felons escaped from the raft last year. Now it's time to move them back in. Police aren't taking any chances, especially not with our guest of honor.
Getting a lot of interference here.
Oh, we gotta save the day.
Doctors in there?
Think so.
I hope you're ready for some action here, Nehemiah.
I hope I'm ready for some action too. Chat, are we ready for some action, chat? It's about to go down. I just barely got the swinging right. I hope I know how to swing on the bad guys.
Well, it's perfect. It works the way it's intended. When we talk about tutorials and we talk about game design, we talk about scaffolding, right? I mean, and we do it in all games, right? In terms of design and designing tutorials, we scaffold things. You learn one thing, right? So you've learned to swing, you've learned to shoot your webs. Now they're gonna give you something else. You're gonna have to do that thing plus something else, right? So you're learning more complex moves based on what you've already learned. So here's your test, Nee. Here's your test.
Here's my test. Don't make me too nervous now. Now I want to get the audio. I see a Clockwork. Shout out to Clockwork. How you doing? I think I may have turned it down a little too low, but I'm gonna get it. Let me see if I can bring it up just a little bit more so people can hear more what's going on. For those who are able to, we know not everyone can, but here's those who can. Let's see if we can get a little bit more audio here. And resume.
Before that happens.
Uh-oh. This is the shocker. Who we got? Hello. Who we got? Doc, who am I about to fight? Who am I about to have to lay hands on? Oh, Rhino. Is this the... This is the...
Yep.
Okay.
We got Rhino.
Go. Okay, wait. Okay, Peter's gonna help me out, right?
Baby.
Is Peter gonna help me out? See. I hope so. You don't want to spider the spoiler for me, huh? Oh, and then he got all the...
I'm not giving spoilers.
All the henchmen too? What's going on here? DuckTales. All right, here we go. Web strike. Boom. Let's go. Let's go. Somebody else. Boom. What's up? What's this? My spidey sense.
There you go. You
Left
got
control
this.
dodge. That looked pretty good. My first couple of seconds in the fight looked pretty good. Now it's slowing up on me. So what about uh-oh. This is left control. Oh no. Okay, here we go. Left control. Uh-oh. Sorry, don't. Come on, man.
The helicopter, kid. Real heroic stuff.
This game does tutorials really well, right?
It paused
and
it for
also
me.
does.
I thought the game was messing up, but really it was just helping me
it was
not
waiting.
get whooped.
It was waiting for you to do what you were supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
It was helping me not lose this battle so quickly. Let's go. What's up? What's up? You saw him swing on me like that, Doc? I never interviewed in the middle of a fight before. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hey, you're doing great. You're doing great. But this game does tutorials really good, especially as a superhero game. It does a good job. Like you said, it waits for you, right? It's like while you're learning a new move, it's like, okay, here's where we hold until you push the buttons you're supposed to push. But it does a good job of making you feel like a superhero. You feel like a virtual badass.
This is
to use the phrase.
Listen, let me be honest with you. This is fun, chat. This is a lot of fun. Thank you, Peter. Peter's helped me out. You're right.
It does a
make you
great
feel
job
like
with the
a superhero.
scaffolding and with making you feel immersed and with making you feel like the superhero that you are. But it will quickly kind of get you to the point of now you got to handle this. So,
I love what you
be
just said
prepared.
too. Let me handle these bad guys real quick. I just dodged. Ooh, okay. And tap E.
This
I like
game
how they
is
got him in
amazing.
slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
Can't let Pete down.
Oh no, he got me though.
But not only graphically, but I find the fighting in this game very smooth.
Yeah.
It would be smoother if you were working with peripherals that you were used to for gaming.
Yeah.
Like if you had a controller, you probably feel a little more comfortable.
Oh man, you said basically, chat. I hope y'all heard what Dr. Blackmon just said. Said it would be smoother if you were actually more experienced. That's basically what I heard, Dr. Blackmon. I think you just basically said if you knew what you were doing a little bit more and not trying to play with a keyboard. No,
I said
playing.
things
I'm
you
just
were
kidding.
more comfortable with.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
The truth hurts. Wow, DuckTales. But muscle memory is real. Muscle memory is real.
So let me say this, because you said something really quick. It's the budget Iron Man. All right, so you all can see the storyline as we continue to go. Shout out to Peter Parker helping me out with Rhino, doing a hard part for me. Thank you, Peter. Oh no, that's my. What's going on here? Not my boy.
I'm coming.
So do your hands after years of keyboard and mouse gaming. I mean, and these are all things that we could think about, right? It's like what happens to gamers as you age, right?
Yeah.
Because the old adage is we all become disabled at some point, right?
Yeah.
And we all need different levels of accessibility at different points. And when we think about this, the lead developer of the Legend of Zelda series during the Tears of the Kingdom kind of preview event, talked about it specifically, right? Because he's getting older. I think he might be a little older than I am. He's in his late 50s, early 60s. But so he's been designing Zelda games forever, and he started to talk about some of the features that they added to Tears of the Kingdom. And he specifically said he was talking about the keys, which are the big giant eyeball bats that fly around in Legend of Zelda. I'm a huge Zelda fan too. But the big giant eyeball bats, right? So he said, okay, so when we kill the keys, you can pick up the eyeballs, then you can attach the eyeballs, you can fuse the eyeballs to your arrows. And then they become tracking arrows. And he said it, and it was like, if you weren't listening or you weren't if you weren't in that space where it would benefit you necessarily, he was like, because as I get older, my aim is not as good, right?
Yeah.
So we recognize that, like, our own abilities change as we get older, right? So we may have like repetitive stress injuries, which means like I have to use customizable controllers because my thumbs are both of my thumbs are really bad, so I can't click sticks, so I have to so I can't click sticks, so I have to have these paddles on the back of my controllers so that I can click paddles instead of clicking sticks.
Okay.
Or you have the customizable thumbsticks where you don't have to hyperextend your thumbs in order to push to where you need to, so you can tighten those up, and there's less like travel room, right? So all of these things that we think about, right? Or I have hearing loss, so subtitles are imperative. to me because I don't hear voices very well. I can hear music and audio much better than I can hear human voices, right? So just because of the frequency, right? So or even things like games like Horizon Forbidden West did it for the first time. Horizon Forbidden West added.
What game is that, by the way? I don't know those games. Y'all know any of these games? Y'all got to shout out, especially people from your committee. What's that game, real quick? You said Horizon Forbidden West.
Horizon Forbidden West. It's right. It's the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. Mm-hmm. And it is I know you. I don't know if you play PlayStation. It was a PlayStation exclusive. They are both now on
my
PC.
Console, for sure.
Okay, so you have access to them, but they're also available on PC now. But they added a tinnitus setting, right? So for folks who don't know what tinnitus is, basically, you ever hear folks talk about having a ringing in their ears? You can have a condition called tinnitus that causes a ringing in your ears, but certain things can. Certain sounds, certain frequencies of sound can, for some people, trigger bouts of tinnitus. Because I have tinnitus in my left ear. I had to think about which one it was. But also, this is also the ear I have hearing loss in. But I have tinnitus in my left ear, and but it's intermittent. It's not ringing all the time, but it will occasionally flare up. And there are sounds that can either trigger bouts of tinnitus for me or cause pain. But Horizon Forbidden West was the first game that I had seen, and the first in that series out of the two, right? That had a setting, because there's lots of mechanical whirring and the sound of metal grating that is of a frequency that can definitely trigger tinnitus in some folks. You have tinnitus too, so you understand what I mean.
Yeah, that tells. By the way, Doc, I'm having a hard time catching up with the Rhino. If you all were wondering why we keep playing the same part over and over again, it's because the Rhino keeps getting away, by the way. So I got to chase down the Rhino, and I think I'm just moving slow on this game, because I'm switching my controls. I don't know if you can tell. See, so I'm going through here, and there's a Rhino.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I need to go. There we go. He's not getting away this time.
There you go.
He's not getting away this time.
Yeah, follow that. Yeah, follow the green arrow.
Yeah, it's the sorry, Mouse. Oh, come on, don't let the Rhino get away. Rhino escaped. You know what it is? It's really tough on these controls. That's really tough. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like directing and swinging at the same time. So what is your top? Tell me, because you just showed your control. What would you say is the best console? Give me your top consoles in terms of their natural controllers. I saw it. That looked like an Xbox controller you had there. Was that what it was?
This is an Xbox controller, but I have more adaptable controllers for Xbox and PlayStation. Do I have my PlayStation one in here? I think I got the box in here because, but so there's the Xbox Elite controller that I use because it, like I said, it gives me a chance to customize my controls more. But I also use the PlayStation Edge controller that also gives me the ability to do that as well. And as time goes on, in the last couple of years, I've been playing more games on PC using keyboard and mouse. I use a smaller
keyboard. There's no excuse for what I'm doing. You know how to play keyboard.
I use keyboard and mouse because it also relieves some of the extra kind of stress on my hands. And I use a smaller keyboard. Shout out to Nuck and Futz in chat, who actually built me a custom keyboard that really helps. Nuck and Futz is what I said.
Yeah, look, listen,
you have that name.
Listen, we're gonna keep it rolling. We're gonna keep it rolling. Everybody knows it's all love. I caught the Rhino though. How about this? I caught the Rhino. Look, I'm right behind Rhino right now. Doc, we about to take Rhino down. there will be a Rhino rematch in the future. That Opal guy, I think that Opal guy played this game before.
This is a game that for a long time, every time I turned on my PlayStation, I would say, oh, I'm going to play X. And I would turn it on, and like the last game I would play would have been Miles Morales, and I would just like turn it on to listen to the music while I did something, and I'd come back and be like, well, I guess I'm playing Miles Morales again. So I've played Spider-Man Miles Morales a couple of times.
So right now, where are we in the story? Because I want to make sure let everybody know where we are, because we're tearing up stuff right now.
So we're at the beginning. We're about to we're learning stuff. We're learning like we've learned how to traverse the city. We've learned how to fight a bit. We're gonna get into a big battle here in just a moment, and then Miles is gonna learn something new about himself. He's gonna, like I said, you're learning with Miles.
Yeah, Rhino keep getting away.
You're learning with Miles.
Okay.
So while you're learning like how to traverse the city, so is Miles, right? He's as awkward with his controls as you are at this point, and it's meant to be that way because, like I said, he's still new to being Spider-Man. That's why he has Peter with him still at this point, serving as his mentor and his trainer, right? It is very smart. And I don't know if we'll get to it, but as he gets into this big battle that's going to ensue after this, once he catches up and he actually has to fight Rhino, he's gonna learn that he has powers he didn't know he had. Because again, he's just learning about what he can do as Spider-Man, because this is new to him too. Where's the super punch? So there's I'm not gonna say what's there and what's not, but there is stuff that will open up to us as we continue to play the game.
So I don't know how far, to your point, I don't know where we're gonna get to with being in the game today, but let me ask you this though, because you said superpowers. I think continuing on with the topic of like people who may have different abilities. I know we had another guest. Shout out to Moo Hoodles. There we go. We're staying behind it. Talked about, I think, ADHD, right? And there was like, there are ways that like a person can, they may have different abilities and things may be limits here and there, but there are ways to kind of see them as superpowers in a sense. Like see them as ways that you can maybe modify that maybe, you know, everyone else may not do, but it kind of can work to your advantage for productivity or things of that nature. Like, has there ever been any type of conversations about that, about how maybe someone's maybe attention deficit or the way that their mind works or the way that different things work being viewed as like superpowers, even though it may be outside of the norm?
I mean, there are different ways of thinking about how characters have certain things that, you know, they have certain, I don't know, personality traits or disabilities that they use for different purposes, right? We've seen superheroes do this all the time, right? You'll have a superhero that, for example, loses his sight and all of his other senses are heightened. And I think that's a common trope, right? In all kind of superhero media. And I think that's often a good thing, but we have to be careful of how that gets used as well, because that can also be very reductive, right? Okay. In that, like hearing loss, right? Being saying, okay, so this person can't hear as well, so they can't hear what's going on, but maybe like their vision is heightened, so they can see things that other people can't see. Yeah. But we also want to see in with some kind of nuance what kinds of other issues that person may have. We don't want to see deafness as just a superpower, because being deaf is, trust me, someone who can't hear, who can't hear very well. And my daughter always comes in and scares the heck out of me because she'll be like, I was standing at the door calling your
Right.
name like
Right.
10 times and you didn't hear me. And then she scares the mess out of me because she'll come up and tap me on the shoulder. But we also want to recognize that there are limitations, right? And that there are things that I cannot do or don't do as well because I don't hear very well,
Okay.
like off that side, right? So it's okay to have that superhero trope going on and say that there are things that are useful or can be useful with the other heightened senses, but we don't want to be reductive and say,
So
but
therefore,
it's
we're
always a good
dismissive
thing.
of the legitimate challenges.
Exactly.
No, that's
We don't-
really good. That's
exactly.
really good. And I'm glad you said that because this is what brings me to this next thing as I figure out how I'm gonna beat all these people up. Because I think that's what I'm supposed to do right here in the game, right? Like I'm supposed to beat all these people up and then they're gonna let me go. 'Cause I don't know. I don't see no yellow dot. Let me beat y'all up.
Yes. Yeah, you want to beat everybody up, so go ahead and jump down there.
All right. I got all I
Or,
have is like
and fight. You're good.
all I
You're
have
good.
is one move. I keep doing the well move. Y'all see, chat, y'all see me
you
doing
do
the
it
one
works.
move?
Police and escapees.
There you go. You got a finisher.
What's the finisher?
I can hold out a little longer.
I'm just fighting. I'm just doing the same move over and over again, Doc. Oh,
Yeah, I do. Yeah, thank you, Nova. There's my Twitch handle. I do stream games on Twitch.
yes, y'all. Make sure you go and give a follow. Now, pronounce your handle again, cause I can pronounce it.
It's Sophista.
Sophista. Got it.
Can't lose. You never lose.
Where we going now? Oh man, this is. I'm in the heat of battle. Can we all just get along?
There you
for a little
go.
bit?
Pete, Pete, hang on, man. Hang on.
I'll be honest
So
with
your
you.
spidey senses are tingling. You gotta find Peter because he's doing stuff.
Peter's doing stuff. Peter, where you at? Peter. Peter.
You gotta take yourself to the battle.
What? It's over there where it says finisher. Is that where I go? Where do I go? How can I know where to go?
Hey Wolf, how are you, Moto? Hey, thanks to everybody for coming and hang out and for the amazing questions. Oh,
Yes.
so Nehemiah, when we were talking like pregame, we were pre-gaming. I asked you if you were a Spider-Man fan, and I told you I would tell you my Spider-Man
Oh yeah,
story.
yeah. Tell me your Spider-Man story.
I gotta move.
So I'm a huge Spider-Man fan.
Okay.
And folks in my community know this story. When I was a kid,
Spider-Man.
I was no joke, Spider-Man every year for Halloween.
Every year. No years
I was
off.
Spider-Man every year for Halloween. It was so every year was just buy a different size of the Spider-Man costume so that I could be Spider-Man again. So big Spider-Man fan, and have been for a long time. So for me, as thinking back to myself as a young black kid, being able to see Miles Morales as a black Spider-Man was amazing. Was absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
every
there's all
year
my-
though,
all my social
that's that's the part I'm tripping on though. Every year, you didn't switch it up at all.
No, I just wanted to be Spider-Man. I was Spider-Man.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So you have seen the movies, obviously.
Yes.
You're waiting for the next one to come out. At this point, there's no spoilers. It's not a spoiler, right? We're just waiting on the next one to come out, right? That's what we're doing. What do you feel are limitations though to black protagonists, right? Like, are there any limitations involved in having like the main character be black? You may have mentioned something like this already, but do you feel like there are any limitations? Because what you said a second ago was just eye-opening to me, because you have these aspirational things of being more inclusive and stuff, but are there like legitimate limitations that we need to be mindful of when we even attempt to try to be more inclusive and things like that?
I mean, there will always be design limitations, and we kind of talked about that earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
There's your super punch, Papa. There's your super punch.
This is it right here. All right.
Your venom punch.
So I gotta press.
You want to press both your mouse buttons at the same time, and then you get your venom punch.
Boom. There we go.
There are limitations, especially in terms of design. We talked about it a little bit earlier in terms of not having accurate representation or enough diversity on design teams, which can be problematic, right? Because sometimes when we have that happen, we get characters, and I'm not gonna name names of games, but we get situations where your narrative designer said, well, everybody knew she was black because she had a hip hop kind of walk, right?
Okay,
so we have those we have those circumstances, right, where you don't have like accurate representation in terms of racial representation on your design team, and you don't go that extra step to hire consultants who can say to you, here are some of the things that we can think about culturally, racially, in terms of representation, and don't ever say she got a hip hop kind of walk again, kind of thing, right?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a limitation. Is there a limitation in terms of a superhero is limited because they are racially marked in one way or another? No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I think that there is much opportunity there, right, to add richness to a world, because there is richness in Miles Morales that doesn't exist in other games, right? Because as I said, Miles is Afro Latinx, right? So he's Black and Puerto Rican, and to see Puerto Rican folks who recognize that there were little markers that were in his mother's apartment, right, that they had seen in their own homes throughout their childhood, right? Or recognized phrases, or felt their hearts go pitter pat because they heard Spider-Man speaking their language, right? That kind of thing. That is more of what we want to see. Of course, there are always going to be folks who are mad, but there's always going to be folks who are mad.
Right. I'm mad because Rhino was tearing my tail up. Now, chat, I don't know if y'all realize I'm actually holding my own a little bit here, but Rhino was lighting me up, y'all.
You're doing good.
Jump. Okay. I don't know about now though.
You're doing good. Does Miles share a similar tech prodigy timeline as the new Peter Parker? So Miles is a kid, right? He's in high school. He's proficient in some things. I don't want to give spoilers. He is proficient in some things. He knows a little about computers, and as he finds tech around the world, he is able to put it to use in some way. And he's able to build new devices and resources for himself. Clockwork.
That was a good question.
He has a friend who we haven't met yet. Genki is his friend, who also kind of serves as his kind of man behind the scenes, who helps build apps for his suit and his phone, and for folks to contact him and help with those things as well. So there are definitely kid engineers. There are definitely kid engineers in this.
We just bought the place.
I love it. Yes, just like in real life. I think I would like to say I was a kid engineer, a Clockwork. Thank you for answering that question,
Taking down Rhino?
Doc. What I was about to say about limitations though earlier was,
you are going.
One, you enlightened me again about how we want to be careful how we use the trope of how every disability, so to speak, is a superpower and things of that nature, or heightened senses. But also I feel like, and maybe this is kind of deep, but there's the aspiration of where we want inclusion to be, but then there's the reality of where it actually is. And so I wonder if, and this would probably be one of my last questions, but how can we kind of make sure we keep things grounded in realism, but also create stories and games that are aspirational and push us to where we want to be. Does that make sense? The question I'm asking. Like, there was a whole debate, and you probably remember back in the era of like the Cosby Show and things of that nature, where it's like, well, how many families are like that in Black America, right? And it's like, well, in some respects you want to be relatable and real, but in other respects you kind of want to create an inspiring educational kind of world for people to move towards. Any thoughts on that when it comes to games?
I mean, yes, right. I think you could do both, right? Okay. And I don't want to say that Miles Morales is the exemplar, right? Spider-Man's Miles Morales is the exemplar, because it's not, right? It's not perfect. But I think that there is enough in here that gives us kind of the ability to do that. While, yes, every kid's not going to get bitten by a radioactive spider and be able to swing from high rises. But you do have other things, right? You have Genki, who knows programming. Right, so he is serving. He's the guy in the chair, right? So Genki is very much the character who is essential in the story, because he has a role to play. Totally. Right, or you have even the kind of backstory of Miles and his best friend before he left Brooklyn, Finn. The fact that they had gone to middle school together and they were kind of science nerds and they had won the science fair. She has her role evolves as the story evolves. No spoilers, but like the first time you see her, she comes to Christmas dinner and she fixes the doorbell, right? Because she just rewires the doorbell because their doorbell's broken, right? So there are all of these different things that can say, these things are cool. It's cool to be able to do these kinds of things. And these are very kind of attainable goals, while, gaining radioactive powers may not be. So I think that there are levels, and we can see the coolness in all of those things. We can see how cool it can be to be a nerd and be able to do these things. Right,
but not being perfect. That's great. Chat, this has been great. I have one more closing question for you. Shout out to Papa Still. Shout out to everybody that knows the game. I see you, Opal guy, over on YouTube. Says you already know what Dr. Nee's gonna be doing for the rest of the game. This game has already sucked me in, right? Like, I am very intrigued and want to continue to play this. We're gonna have to figure out another way to get it into another stream very soon. But let me show y'all really quickly what we got going on. What be going on the rest of the week, y'all. So tomorrow, chat, we are going to have another virtual field trip with Trapology. Trapology is going to be with us tomorrow, and we're going to be seeing the progress that they're making on our escape room. So make sure y'all check out tomorrow. That's going to be really fun. And yeah, we're going to be back with you next week. Now, we're going to try some other different times again for our building committee on Twitch. We are going to continue to test a few other times, but by and large, we are here every day, same time, same place at 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on Twitch. YouTube, you all see us frequently as well. As we get ready to let you go really quick, Dr. Samantha Blackmon, Not Your Mama's Gamer, can I just ask you one more question as we get ready to go? And this is my question pretty much. As we wrap up, what does the future of gaming look like to you? Right, both in terms of like representation and like sort of the types of conversations we're having, even in like spaces that you occupy, right? And what type of legacy do you hope your work leaves in this entire industry?
Wow, that's a great question. I think in terms of where the games industry is going, I hope to see more diversity in the games industry, right? Mm-hmm. I hope to see kind of more diversity across the board. I hope to see more diversity in not only the stories that we tell, but the characters that we create and the characters that we're able to create. Yeah. And I think that will come with a more diverse, a more diverse development community. So being able to see the Miles Moraleses and the Genkis, who are cool in their nerdiness, may be a great way of, convincing others that, maybe being a tech nerd is not such a bad thing.
It's
And I
not,
think that
yeah.
that again, the desire to learn games is very strong with folks from younger generations, right? And I think that there are lots of programs out there that are making that more accessible to a more diverse group of kids. And I hope to see those programs um, not only increase in number, but continue to get additional support, so that we have resources in place to make the change that we need to make in the industry, because there's a lot of change that needs to be made.
Indeed. And we thank you for being a part of that movement, being a part of that change. You all show some love. We already see some more people dropping the hearts, dropping the emojis over on YouTube. Please say thanks so much to our guest today. This has been a fantastic time hanging out with you. Thanks for giving me my introduction to this game. Chat, this is my very, very first time playing this game, and hey, I've already leveled up. You all saw what just happened. Extra strength, extra health, extra everything. And Samantha, it's been nothing but a pleasure. You all make sure you join us again. You saw what's coming up. Continue to do your very best. Don't be afraid to try something new, and make sure that even in your role in the gaming, if you're a gamer or if you're someone who knows gamers, continue to just espouse the great messages and ideals that our guest today has already presented to us. And with that being said, hope you all take care and you keep building. Peace.